So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Thatcherites join the rebellion against Sunak's promise to slash red tape. And for anyone who doesn't know what a Thatcherite is people who believe in Thatcher's kind of ideology, which, again, for the most part, I don't really like because I don't think she's very bright. But sure, Thatcherites are joining the cause now. So ministers in Thatcher's government have joined the rebellion against Sunak's EU red tape law, which is the EU retain bill, which defeat potentially looming in the House of Lords. So this lot would be people who are given peerages by probably John Major, Tony Blair, and maybe even Big David Cameron. Thatcher was very pro the common market. I'm not sure 100% what she would think of the EU now, but what she didn't want was British goods to be stuck at the border, the Dover-Calais crossing, or the decimation of the... I wonder what she would think of the decimation, mainly financial services. I've worded that weird. I do wonder how happy she will be with the EU retention bill, or as I call it, the EU deregulation bill. So maybe she wouldn't be 100% the biggest fan of the EU, but it's better to be in the club than outside of it for most things. The Prime Minister is pursuing a Brexit freedoms bill, which will decide whether to keep or amend or scrap up to 4,000 pieces of EU-era legislation by the end of this year. Imagine having to review that much legislation in the space of, 10 months? Less than 10 months? Madness. There is a growing Conservative rebellion risking to scupper the push in the Lords, where the legislation is debated as some Tories join forces with the Labour and Liberal Democrat Lords and Baronesses, I think they're called. Now the Lords cannot block legislation, but they can amend it and delay it, as they set the timetable in the House of Lords. So under mainly Johnson and May, they chose to kick legislation into the long grass. So if they choose not to have a vote or a debate on certain bits of legislation, they can delay it. A letter voicing disapproval about the push sent by Lord Callanan, the minister overseeing the bill in the Lords, has been signed by a number of Conservatives who served under Miss Thatcher. They include Lord Clark, who held multiple roles in Thatcher's cabinet, Lord Powell, who was her private secretary for foreign affairs, Lord Patten, who was her environment secretary, and Lord Young, who held various ministerial positions in the 1980s. So there could be a few different reasons behind this. They don't want to see the deregulation bill itself, perhaps. Perhaps they are more pro-EU, the EU legacy laws that we have now, or they want to have closer alignment with the EU. So it could be down to the fact that they could be more pro-EU. Maybe for trade reasons or other reasons. Another reason is they may not be against the deregulation bill in itself, but they wanted to be able to decide what is deregulated and how, what is amended and how. The bill in its current form allows ministers to pick and choose what they want to keep and what they don't. Neither the Lords nor the Commons gets a real say on things, and this will be done very quickly with minimal say. And with Sunak's mini reshuffle, we don't know what stuff the current ministers will want to keep versus what the ones who just got moved. In fact, we don't even know if Sunak will be PM towards the end of the year, let alone the ministers who will be in place at the time. Raab is the Secretary for Justice, but it looks like he will be moved on soon to be replaced by who we don't know yet. Can you see the problems being made if you give ministers this sort of power? Ministers get moved on all the time. So Robert Buckland, Tory MP and former Justice Secretary, said, quote, "I am now deeply concerned that the pace and timescale of this proposed change threatens uncertainty to our rules that is not good for the rule of law, with the government's own dashboard already having to be updated to account for swathes of regulation that have been simply missed so far. We must avoid creating a regulatory mess. Downing Street figures have repeatedly rejected suggestions a change in timing is likely, arguing that the reviewing of EU-era laws is still intended to be completed by the end of the year." Claiming it's a review is one thing, but this is not a review. This review is an execution. This quote review is an execution of various laws, over 4,000, and it could be even more than that. We have no idea what is being axed by this lot. Only the ministers have the best idea of it, and that's only if they're well informed of every single law on the chopping block. MPs, the Lords, the public, the EU, and any other country you have a trade deal with, like the land of the rising sun, i.e. Japan, have no idea what's going on here. That scares me, along with the clowns in charge of choosing the laws. Labour needs to kick up a fuss about this right now, because apart from Stella Creasley, the rest of the party have been pretty garbage about talking about the bill. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.